Going through the internet over the last couple of weeks, we have seen a whole host of different websites, articles, newspaper clippings, a lot of things regarding Johnny and Amber. Well, what we're going to take a look at today, I came across it yesterday and I read through and I was like, you know what, this is actually a very, very interesting article. And this is what we got. So, the trial of JD, what it says about celebrities and the search for truth. The actor's libel trial against the UK's The Sun was a surreal showbiz grudge match, which it was. There were these financial mishaps, text messages, and AH being booed by a lot of people. Was this inside look at Hollywood celebrities too much? And with that, it was like, right, okay, I see you. It was kind of an interesting dynamic because we don't really see, even though a lot of people are like, oh, we get to know him through social media, this, that, and the other. We don't really see the inside like we have with this trial. So, I arrived at the Royal Court of Justice 2 hours early. A JD fan rolled their eyes. I was far too late. Courtroom number 13 had fewer than a dozen seats for the public, and her and her friends had been queuing for them almost since dawn. I didn't stand a chance. That's fair enough. These diehards came to the trial of JD against The Sun every day for 3 weeks. Each one could have made a short story about our relationship with the celebrity. A woman told me she'd loved JD ever since he visited her sick daughter at Great Ormond Street Hospital. Here in the UK, that hospital it's a very good hospital. It's a very, very nostalgic one as well. What I mean by nostalgic is that it goes back years and it's the biggest one for children in the UK where, again, they got some of the best doctors and nurses in the world and surgeons, and they just there and they just help everyone. And that's also a lot of where all these celebrities, Tom Hanks, whoever, especially like the Marvel superheroes when they're here in the UK, they normally go and visit them at Great Ormond. Another said she was drawn to his case because her relative had been wrongfully accused of this. It can happen to anyone, she said. They loved JD because he was different to them. They loved him because he was the same. These so-called Depp heads handed flowers to their hero when he arrived at the court each morning, and they booed his ex-wife whenever she appeared, which we've seen a lot of videos of that. And to be honest with you, it's actually really, really funny. They were just one more eye-opening part in what now ranks among the most extraordinary libel trial in English legal history, and surely the most extraordinary this century. Only if you have been on a month-long Zoom call can you have missed it. Which is true, say, it went on for a long time, and especially the way it was. Again, here in the UK, these sort of things are never done really in court. And especially during this massive pandemic as well, it's almost like when you've got other cases which are a lot more serious than this, but again, no, these other cases, they're not starring two multi-millionaires and they're not big celebrities. But they are a lot more important than the JD case. But they had to be done via Skype, Zoom, and by email, which is absolutely terrible. JD, one of the movie's most biggest talents, he sued The Sun, until recently Britain's biggest selling newspaper, over an opinion column that labelled him this, who had left AH for this. He argued that his reputation had gone from Cinderella to Quasimodo in 0.6 seconds, and that he had lost his lucrative role in Pirates of the Caribbean sequels as a result. Which again, that is kind of true because we have seen a lot of things coming now. They're saying that they're redoing Pirates, they're casting other people. Margot Robbie was supposed to be in one, then it was meant to be, I can't remember her name now, but the girl from the Jumanji films and the Doctor Who series, and she also in Nebula in Guardians of the Galaxy and Marvel. And when you think about that, it's like, right, these people aren't really going to fit the mold of what this actually is. But again, this is Hollywood and this is how Hollywood thinks. And so it goes down now. It was a surreal trial. The trial, which ended on July 28th, was so surreal that at times I wondered if I had taken as many of these things as JD himself. It was a show business grudge match playing out in a building older than Hollywood itself. It was a mixture of the hashtag #MeToo era, all this kind of stuff, celebrity gossip, free speech, and education advisory. It ploughed on with witnesses beamed in from the US and Australia, even as almost everything else in central London remained shut by the pandemic. This is what I was saying earlier, because a lot of people were like, well, how can they go there? First of all, how can these two stars fly into the UK when supposedly everything is shut down, but they managed to get in there and they get to go to trial? Which again makes a lot of people think, was someone paid to do all of this? No one knows. Mr. Justice Nicholl's judgment is not expected until the autumn. Fingers crossed we're going to get it within the next 4 to 5 weeks now, but the public verdict is already in. The trial was a tore-dry spectacle, which it was. Highly paid barristers debated on who had done this in JD's bed. They quizzed Aherd's sister on how she and JD done all of this, and they argued over Amber had an extramarital affair with the billionaire Elon Musk, which again, no, I think that's kind of on the ball that everyone knows that happened, even though you got him and her saying, oh, it never happened to Liz. But we have photographs and there's also video evidence and there's also eyewitness accounts from the actual hotel concierge during 2016 when she was still with him. I feel like an awful person for being here, an out-of-work theatre designer told me, as she angled for a picture of JD. A number of those outside court were furloughed workers with time to kill. Hollywood has declined to release blockbuster movies during lockdown. This trial provided us with a more big celebrity fix, something to distract us from the mundanity. Was this really a proper use of the High Court? This is what I was saying earlier on, because there was a lot of things going on, and a lot of people couldn't actually have their cases seen to. These other things were, they were about life and death for families. But with this, it's literally like, oh, you call me a horrible name. Which again, I am all for JD all the way. But seeing how this was done, and obviously you had other people who could have used the courts and their system a little bit better, it does go to show, though, that obviously if you're a big name, then it goes through. It's a bit like how AH's publicist said to Jennifer Howell, oh, I'm not giving you millions because you haven't got a reach for international press, which is just crazy to think of in of itself. So, was it fair for AH to have her allegations examined in a case where she wasn't a claimant or a defendant, but simply a witness? Could anyone possibly emerge as a winner from such a wreckage? Only a moron in a hurry would entertain the thought of having the breakup of their relationship picked over by 2 QCs and a judge in full public view, says Mark Stevens, a media lawyer at the firm Howard Kennedy. The last celebrity to successfully sue for libel without collateral damage was Liberace in the 1950s. That is crazy. The heyday of libel trials was the 80s and 90s, with claimants such as the musician Elton John and the cricketer Ian Botham. These days, legal costs are higher, potential payouts are lower, and the media has a stronger defence of responsible journalism. They do, but this was not responsible journalism. They never even investigated anything, they never looked into it, they just went, yeah, this is it, let's just do this. This is which is what I've been saying now for a long time. Thanks to social media, we are all accustomed to half-truths and flat-out lies. We hear rumours and allegations. We aren't sure whether we should be boycotting Woody Allen's films or not. The JD trial has promised something tantalising. The truth. Or at least a truth. Because, like I keep saying, it's a he said, she said. This is exactly what it really is. And it's kind of sad to see that that is what it's coming to. And here, we're going by here. No, it even says it here. He said, she said, but more complicated. It was a he said, she said scenario, except, given the ubiquity of camera phones, text messages, and celebrity entourages, it was more complicated. A he said, she said setup suggests that one side's telling the truth and the other isn't. In reality, both JD and AH sat in the wooden witness box. Their Hollywood looks just set there with sets of A4 ring binders, and their accounts were severely tested under cross-examination. And it just goes on for a lot of things, but one of the biggest ones that has actually caught my eye in this article is this part by here. Repercussions for for me too. Celebrity fandom offers a simple way out. You believe his account or hers, that's really it. Like I said, he said, she said. Watching the trial, I wondered if there might be a middle ground after all, with both parties might have lost control. Would that be enough to call JD this or AH a fantasist? Campaigners have an ambivalent relationship with the legal system. On the one hand, they want this to be brought to justice. On the other, they are historically skeptical that the courts can deliver it. Then, she could claim a double disadvantage. First, a victim of all of this, an offence which is often had. And second, her claim subject to a libel suit in London, occasionally known as the defamation capital of the world. She also had no control over the way the Sun puts his case, meaning that she could not insist they call an expert witness on this, for example. I did not file this lawsuit, and despite its significance, I would have preferred not to have been in court. That's what she said at the end of the trial when she spoke of the pain of reliving the worst moments of her relationship. And to be honest with you, with all of that, that just goes to show what type of person she really is. Because we got that there now, and she's saying, I didn't want any of this to happen. I didn't want any of this. Then why did she go and do an op-ed in the Washington Post? Why did she go on all these chat shows saying that all this has happened? But again, and she's the one who's saying now, I don't want this to happen. I never wanted this. I don't want to do this. A lot of it is bull. But when I saw this, I thought it was actually a very good take. Because they're not taking sides. If you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell for future updates. And I'll see each and every one of you soon.